So I am pleased to continue my conversation with Joshua King, who is a student with Project Pneuma, and Damion Cooper, who is the founder and president of Project Pneuma. Damion runs a program that really does a great job bringing Baltimore City Police together with the kids in the community and really helping foster that relationship, which is what Signal 13, we're a new partner of theirs. We're proud to partner with Project Pneuma because we know how important, the board knows how important it is to help to bring the two communities together. And that's what we need for Baltimore's future. So Damion, tell me what led you to this path. You had an incident, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, so actually a little more than 10 years ago. It's now been 30. And
Oh,
so
okay.
when I was a student at Coppin State College on a wrestling scholarship, I left campus one night to go to my mom's house to get a meal. Snuck away from campus that night. When I got off the bus, I had on earphones, and as I walked home, I had no idea that I was being followed by two young men. Back then, there used to be a public housing complex called Freedom Way right next to Archbishop Curley High School. As I walked home and got right beside my home, I felt someone behind me. When I turned around, two young men were there. And unfortunately, one took out his gun and pulled the trigger and shot me in above the heart. Thankfully, as you can see, I survived something as heinous as that, which I still have five bullet fragments in my chest. But after I got shot, I became very despondent and very angry because I was wondering why someone would shoot me. I was the good kid and I didn't understand. I didn't know how to manage my emotions after I got shot because I grew up as a young man learning a lot of wrong rules, right? Even though I was a good one, I was taught to never show emotion. And so it really broke me down mentally and emotionally. Um, I just couldn't handle it. And if it wasn't for a group of men surrounding me and really lifting me up, I may not be here today. Um, Years later, I decided to go to seminary and get a degree in theology. And while there, I met a man. His name is Chaplain Christopher Wallace, and I began helping him out in the prisons in downtown Baltimore. And unbeknownst to me, I was actually mentoring the very same young man who had shot me um, 20 years prior. It wasn't until he started making emphasis to his life that was just too coincidental to mine for me to realize that he was the man that shot me. And so I was able to have a conversation with him. I couldn't ask him any direct questions. They could only be open-ended. And so after asking him several questions about, have you done anything that, you wish you could apologize for? Have you done anything that you are really sorry for? And he had known me for a year and a half. So he began to tell me all the things he had done, but he was never convicted of. And so I sat and listened to him kind of run down a laundry list of things he had done. And he got to item number 4. I literally had to listen to the same young man I had been mentoring, preparing to get out of prison. I had to listen to him tell me the story of how he and his friend stalked me from the number 5 bus across Simcoe Lane, up the steps of a school. And he said they were going to shoot me then, but they saw a man walking down the street with his dog and they hid back in the cut of the school. They watched me go across the street, walk down the alley, and follow me all the way down to the corner of Lindale Avenue in Chesterfield. And he said his friend told him, if you're going to do it, you got to do it now because there's a neighborhood bus and people may be outside. And he said after that, he ran up on this guy, and I can't use the verbiage that he used. He said, I ran up on this guy, and when he turned around, I blasted him. And imagine having someone that, again, you've been preparing for a year and a half, someone you have been consistently being there for, walk you down how they stalked you and how he planned on killing you, because it was his initiation night. And I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because at this point, after a year and a half, I knew he was not the monster or the demon who I thought he was. I knew he was the young man whose father had died in prison. I knew he was the same young man whose mother was doing things she shouldn't do to make ends meet in her home. He was the big brother to 2 younger sisters, and he was the young man being picked on. And he was doing all this between the ages of 10 and 14, being cultivated. And so and when he turned 16, I happened to be the victim that night. And after knowing this, I forgave him. I forgave him because, again, I knew this. And to this very day, I still talk with him. And we usually talk on Saturdays. This man he's now married, 2 beautiful daughters. He is the head of his men's ministry in his church. and he's doing great things. And the reason why I do this work is because I don't want someone like Josh to fall in the same type of pitfalls as this young man did. I want to make sure that the boys in Baltimore and beyond have men and women there who love them enough to guide them through the rough terrain, to let them know that it's okay to show emotion, that it's okay to cry, it's okay to say, I'm not okay today. Just like with our police officer trainees, the same thing with them. They may not have a good day, but also to pull us all together, because there are points and times in all of our lives when we just don't have a good day and we may not know how to say it. And then instead of going to the wrong people, I want them to come to us. Pneuma is Greek. It means to breathe. So many of our young men, when they get upset, they don't breathe correctly. They instantly inhale. They hold it in. And then they implode on themselves and then they explode on others. Our job is to help them to breathe things through, to understand that if I take a deep breath, it calms my mind, it calms my spirit, it calms my emotions. If we can do that, because it doesn't have to always be about sports, because we have so many rich athletes who are a mess, but I'd rather affect your heart and your mind. And if I can do that, you become a better student, a better son, a better community member, a better friend to our city. You just become better. And this is what Project Pneuma does. And again, from that fateful incident, this is why I do the work that I do. And I get a chance to do what I love every single day, which is the greatest thing in the world.